And I want to bring my panel in. Chris Wilson. He's a Republican pollster and former executive director of the Texas Republican Party. And Christine Quinn, she's the vice chair of the New York State Democratic Party. Okay, I don't want to have a debate here. I want to talk about solutions, and I want to take emotion out of it. Chris, how do conservatives justify this massive spending? If I was a single mom in the south side of Chicago and I heard $700 a day, I want that money to go to me and my community. If this is America first, what are we doing this for?
Well, I would really reject the assertion this is a conservative or liberal issue. This is about humanity. And I think, as mentioned, Christine and I were talking before we came on, and I think we agree about a lot more here than we disagree. And what I would hope that we could all come together for is look for a solution. Obviously, I worked for Senator Ted Cruz. I was involved as that bill was being drafted, and I'm very supportive, and I think it's one that they can come together on. And I can tell you, I know Senator Cruz well. I don't think he would care at all whose name it went under. At this point, we just have to find a solution. And the money that's being spent on it, I mean, frankly, there does need to be money spent. I think the bigger issue here is we all ought to ask ourselves, what is driving these issues? Why are people leaving these countries and wanting to come to the United States? What is the violence and the collapse of societies that exist there? They're making people want to leave the countries with their children and come to the United States. And so this is going to cost money for us to solve. We can't just admit everyone regardless because some of these people are drug traffickers and they're human traffickers involved. Having said that, but once we sort through that, we've got to keep families together with their children. No one that I know is arguing that anything against that.
Of course, I don't think any of us would argue that we're looking to skirt the law and we respect the borders. You know, the mayor of McAllen, Texas, just yesterday said to me what he hopes is that the president will focus on foreign policy with our neighbors in Central America. Christine Quinn, so let's say Ted Cruz's plan comes before Chuck Schumer. I realize this zero-tolerance policy has created a crisis, a self-induced crisis. But what happens to Democrats here? If there is a bill on the table that's not perfect, but that keeps families together, do they move forward or do they say it's not enough? Because I'm worried about these kids in buildings right behind me.
I mean, I think if there is real legislation, I'm not speaking for Chuck Schumer, but my sense is that the Democrats are so enraged and so concerned about the crisis that has been created and the impact it's happening on human beings and particularly children, an impact that we know from all of the psychiatric and psychological study may never be fully repairable and may impact these children far into adulthood. I think if there's a real solution on the table, Democrats are not going to walk away from it. But we have to be mindful of what the president is trying to do here is what he does. He creates a crisis, takes a group of people, it was DACA recipients, now it's these poor children, and kind of holds them hostage, using them to negotiate on issues not related directly to them. In this case, like more border security and the wall, which is not a relevant topic here. So I think there has to be, when we were having a good conversation, there has to be a purity of commitment to solving this crisis on both sides, and that will yield real conversation. I think that one of the tragedies here.
Democrats?
One of the tragedies here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you believe Democrats are going to come to the table because there's concern that they're just going to say it's not enough?
I think, look, again, I don't think there is any way that the Democrats are going to, nor should they, get kind of hoodwinked into giving in on things that they have a moral opposition to, say, the wall. That's not going to happen. But if there's a good faith, real solution on the table that is focused exclusively on these children, then anyone who walks away from that, shame on them. This is a humanitarian crisis. We need a solution. But we cannot let the president take these children hostage to negotiate other inhumane things.
Then I certainly hope that humanity will bring us together. Chris, can you just help me understand from a strategy perspective why the Trump administration thinks any of this is a good idea? From a moral perspective, it doesn't work. From a policy perspective, it doesn't work. And from a financial perspective, and when people say, well, it really plays to Trump's base, how? If I lost my job and I felt hopeless, detaining and separating mothers and children on the Texas-Mexico border is not going to give me a better job or train me for a brighter future. How does this play to his base?
I can't speak to the internal machinations of decisions being made inside the White House. I will speak to your question about the base, which is, I think, an important one. And the only thing I can suggest is if there is a calculation that has been made that in somehow this could be utilized for the purposes of negotiation and achieving things like greater border security or a wall, it was a massive miscalculation. And so from that, I really believe you could achieve a veto-proof majority, not to imply that there would be a veto of it, but you could achieve a veto-proof majority in both the House and the Senate if you have someone come together. And again, I would submit that the Cruz bill does that, but I don't care whose name is on it, and I don't think he does either, that allows families to stay together, that allows for quick processing to make sure that we're not releasing violent criminals, drug traffickers, human trafficking into the United States, and also allows for the funding of new shelters to keep those families together. And the Cruz bill does all three of those things, and I think it's something that could be achieved very quickly. And I would hope, and I would submit that it is something the Trump administration should get behind, and is something that our base, the Republican base, would be strongly for as well.
But let's not forget, and I stand by anybody, if there's a real solution and we can do it quickly, let's do it. I don't care what your R, D, I, whatever. But the quickest solution to this is for the president to stop the policy. That could happen in the next 5 minutes. That is the quickest. It's quicker than a legislative process by definition, and it is the thing that could happen today and should happen today. Do I believe it will? Sadly, no. But I do believe the pressure that America is putting on is making a difference.
Well, in the name of humanity and the name of optimism, this is a moment so many people have asked for the country to come together. Thank you so much. I appreciate your thoughtful contribution.